Everybody gets a fair trial. That's the system. Okay. All those voting guilty, please raise your hand. 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, not guilty? The vote is 11 to 1. 11 guilty, 1 not guilty. Now we know where we stand.
Do you really think he's not guilty?
There are 11 votes for guilty. It's not easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first.
He got a fair trial, didn't he? You know how much that trial cost. He's lucky he even got one.
If we're going to discuss this trial, why, let's discuss the facts.
That sounds fair enough.
Okay, let's get to the facts. Number 1. Let's take the old man who lived on the 2nd floor right underneath the room where the murder took place. He heard loud noises in the upstairs apartment. Then he heard the kid say to his father, "I'm gonna kill you." Then he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
But what about the woman from across the street? If her testimony doesn't prove it, then nothing does.
Here's a woman who's lying in bed and can't sleep. It's hot, you know. Anyway, she wakes up and she looks out the window, and right across the street she sees this kid stick the knife into his father.
I heard her swear to it. So, what does that prove?
Well, it doesn't exactly prove anything.
This boy, let's say he's from a background with a filthy neighborhood or a broken home. We can't help that. We're not here to look for reasons why slums are the breeding grounds for criminals. The children who come out of slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
I grew up in a slum neighborhood. I used to play in a background that was filled with garbage. Maybe it still smells on me.
Now, let's stop the bickering. What about facts?
This knife is a very important piece of evidence, don't you agree?
I can agree. That is a very unusual knife. It's hard to forget something like that.
Take a look at it. It's such a strange knife. I've never seen anything like it before in my life.
Look at it. It's the exact same knife.
Where'd you get that?
I got it at a junk shop around the corner of the boy's house. It cost $2.
Listen to me. I bet you pulled a real smart trick here, but you proved absolutely nothing. There are maybe 10 knives that look like this. So what?
I've got a proposition to make. I want to call for a vote. I'll abstain. If there's still 11 guilty, we bring a guilty verdict now.
Okay, let's do it.
Guilty. 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 Guilty.
12 seconds later.
Guilty. 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 Not guilty. Guilty.
All right! Who did it? What idiot changed his vote?
Is that a way to talk about a man's life?
Excuse me, this was a secret ballot.
I know the man must be guilty, but we have to be fair.
Let's try to keep this organized, gentlemen, but let's stick to the subject.
Exactly. When a life is at stake, what is reasonable doubt? We have to draw the line somewhere. We have to have a law and order. If not, then people would just go around knifing each other.
No doubt here.
You hear all these stories about innocent people who are sent to jail or death sometimes, and then years later things turn up.
But on the other hand, sometimes they get out and go do it again. They squeeze out on some technicality and then kill again.
Remember, it's guilty beyond reasonable doubt. This is an important thing to remember.
Now wait a minute.
This is a man's life.
All right, let's take it easy.
I've got a good mind to walk around this table and belt him one.
How about sitting down? Gentlemen, we have our job and our duty here.
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
The vote is 9-3 in favor of guilty.
What made you change your vote?
I think there's doubt.
Doubt? Where?
There's the knife.
He made you change your vote because of some fairy tale? basing it on? Some story he made up?
Please, a man's life is at stake.
Can we just stop wasting time?
Are we gonna start wading through all this nonsense about where the body was found?
Is this what you want?
That's right. Thank you.
Do me a favor. Wake me up when all this is over. You come in here with your hearts bleeding all over the floors about slum kids and injustice and these made-up stories. Well, I'm not having it. I'm getting real sick of you.
What you say? Oh, that you only meant well, 'cause you did.
What's the matter with you people? This kid is guilty. He's got a burn and you're just letting him slip through our fingers. I want to call for an open ballot. I want to know where everyone stands.
That sounds fair. Guilty. Guilty. Not guilty.
12 seconds later.
Guilty. Not guilty. Guilty. Not guilty. Not guilty. Not guilty. 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 Not guilty.
That's 6-6.
I'm ready to get out and go tell the courtroom we have a hung jury. There's no point in doing this anymore.
6-6. I don't think we'll ever agree on anything.
Let's reconstruct the killing.
I'll do it. Stomp your foot when you want me to start. I'm gonna kill you!
How could this happen to me? I made my mistakes, got nowhere to run. The night goes on as I'm fading away. I'm sick of this.
So, what do you think now?
I'm not sure what I think. I want to talk some more. I said guilty and then I changed and now I'm swinging back to guilty.
Well, now we're starting to make some sense.
That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard of.
Alright, let's stop arguing. Who's got something constructive to say?
What do you mean? It's common sense.
Have you ever seen a man get stabbed before?
No? I don't understand you people. How can you believe this kid is innocent? I'm speaking my piece and they... Listen to me. None of them know anything. You better watch your back. This kid is on trial.
I've had enough. If you speak one more time, I'm going to split your skull.
Alright, sit down, everybody.
After much arguing, the 12 angry men decided to have one last revote.
11 votes not guilty. 1 guilty.
You made all the arguments stand with me. You're going to let a guilty man walk the streets. We've got to kill him. Please stay with me.
There is reasonable doubt in my mind.
They're waiting.
You don't intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinions.
You're all alone.
It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone. They're waiting. Not guilty.
Not guilty.